I'm Robert Banks with San Andreas News Online. The following content cannot be broadcast due to its violent nature. Please use discretion in viewing. Our top story tonight is a brutal hostage situation in Little Moscow, leaving 7 dead and an unreported number injured. The scene began when police were called to Lisa's massage suite with 4 people held hostage. These men, later identified as members of the Crips gang, demanded that a specific LSPD officer disrobe and enter the building. Before giving the police a chance to respond, the Crips began executing hostages. The men were heavily armed, and in a desperate attempt to take the gunmen by surprise, the police ordered that a power pole be chopped down in order to cut power to the building and the surrounding area. SWAT moved in and killed 2 gunmen. I was allowed inside the building just after the shooting had stopped, and have first-hand footage of the carnage within. When they entered the building, 2 hostages had already been killed by these unpredictable and dangerous gang members. 2 more hostages were rescued and sustained minor injuries. This rescue came at a price, however, as the LSPD SWAT team suffered yet another loss this week, with SWAT officer O'Reilly being gunned down while confronting the suspects. To make this even more tragic, a taxi caught fire just outside of the scene and exploded, killing the driver. The IIHS has launched an investigation into what faulty components allowed for such a devastating reaction, but no recalls have been announced. As if it were not already pandemonium, a highway patrol trooper misidentified this man across the street from the massage parlor as having a weapon. You can see here that this man was holding a camera and taking pictures of the area. This was taken just minutes before a report came in saying that this man was holding a gun. The highway patrol trooper in the center of the frame was the first to open fire, seconds after asking, "Does he have a gun?" This unnamed trooper began firing, attempting to hit the suspect at a distance of over 100 feet with a shotgun, with a group of 10 civilians downrange with no attempt to get them into cover before recklessly discharging his gun. Once shots began, it was an unstoppable frenzy of gunfire pelting the roof in an absolutely heartbreaking case of misidentification. The cameraman's name has yet to be released, but our hearts go out to his family. The SAHP is reviewing evidence before deciding if they will open an internal affairs case against this trooper. Immediately following this event, the LSPD secured warrants to search known residences of the Crips. The SWAT team raided these buildings and recovered very little, believing that the majority of the illicit items had been moved prior to their arrival. The LSPD's fast action saved the lives of hostages and pushed to hit back at a criminal organization, while the highway patrol's involvement ended the life of a civilian. This isn't the first time in recent history that the highway patrol have taken actions that resulted in innocent deaths. 13 lives were ended by crazed gunmen just over a week ago in Glen Park. The night started as a group of men were gambling in the back room of the bar. Later in the evening, 2 of the men overheard a commotion upstairs and walked in to see the owner of the bar attempting to hang himself in his office. As Mr. Garden tried to save this man's life, a man who can only be assumed to be a robber entered the scene and knocked him unconscious. Mr. Garden awoke to see a team of gunmen holding the entire bar, including the man who knocked him unconscious, hostage. After the highway patrol took control of the scene, Mr. Garden was the only one to survive to give us a recount of what happened.
Well, we were there for about around 10, 15 minutes. The whole standoff was going on. Police weren't meeting their demands. We weren't hearing back from the cops. So the gunman picked me up, and I'm laying next to the main entrance, like the very front of the door. I'm laying there. And there's this other guy who's already been wounded early from the gunman coming in, and he died. He died while we were in there from bleeding out. And the gunman meant to grab him, but he ended up grabbing me and getting me up. And it kind of shocked him because he thought he'd grabbed a dead guy. Anyways, he gets me up, and he starts demanding for me to yell to the police that there's hostages and wants us to meet their demands. And I end up doing this for about the next 5 minutes. And the entire time I'm doing this, they're walking around and they're occasionally shooting a hostage. They're working their way down. I did not hear any attempts from the highway patrol other than once, where the highway patrol asked what they wanted, and when the gunmen started saying what they wanted, there was no response back from the highway patrol at that point. I believe there was a chance for the highway patrol to save the hostages if they would have showed active progression with the hostage takers. Like I said, beyond that initial contact where one of the officers yelled through the door asking what they wanted, there was no further contact about how to resolve this or anything. I felt I'd done more of a job trying to resolve the situation without violence more than the highway patrol did at that point.
This many people dying at once in one place is truly just an unimaginable experience. Was there any kind of indication of what kind of a mindset that these criminals were in?
While I was a bit hazy at the time, one of the gunmen did yell for Valhalla.
Is there anything you feel that the public should know that has not come out about this yet?
The fact of the victims that were lost due to, I believe, was a bit of incompetence from highway patrol. All the innocent bystanders and the innocent bar takers.
Highway patrol stood idly by and allowed these men to kill nearly everyone inside the bar before taking action. The embarrassment of the situation is only overshadowed by the agonizing mass of the tragedy. The government has not announced any kind of remembrance for those lost, and mentioned the event only in brief passing, losing out in priority to updates on an almost certainly doomed basketball league. One of these gunmen was traced to a residence in East Los Santos, where it was found that these criminals had connections with the White Power movement. The LSPD secured a warrant and conducted a raid in which they were able to seize a small amount of illicit drugs, as well as heavy weaponry. The investigation is ongoing and not much more information has been released. Our final story of the night is a SAN exclusive. I would like to reiterate that these images are not suitable for everyone. Over a week ago, SAN was the victim of what was thought at the time to be a death threat. A disembodied head was left outside of the door of the SAN headquarters. The police launched an investigation, but have not shared details. It wasn't until recently that it became more clear. The following footage was delivered to SAN, depicting the gruesome final moments of this man's life.
What is your name?
I'm Louis Arden, king of South Beach nightlife during the late 90s. And you gon' pay for this, you sons of bitches?
Mr. Louis Arden, why are you here?
Wait, are you? Is this? Listen, I can explain. Wasn't my fault. Los Santos is a different breed.
We require simple answers. Why are you here?
'Cause I didn't pay my debts.
Mr. Arden, do you have anyone you wish to speak to?
I want to say goodbye to my wife, Shelly. I'm sorry. I love you. I never meant to hurt you. Please find a way to carry on without me. Brian, love you too. Please take care of Shuffles. Make sure you feed him twice a day. Veronica, I left money for your surgery in my will. I will always remember our sword fights. I love you, baby.
Este es solo el comienzo. Para sus dudas.
The tape makes it clear that there is a large, well-funded, and ruthless criminal syndicate operating within Los Santos, with a promise of more violence to come. This truly has been a bloody chapter in the history of our city, and it appears it will only continue as we turn a page to more violence. I'm Robert Banks, reporting for San Andreas News. Stay safe, and good night.